So for the EFL Designs 36 EFLake, we're doing our planning. So we have 300 pixels, and given kind of a basic load for each pixels, it's 13.5 amps. But at 30% power, this comes in around 4 amps. These are very rough numbers. Since it's 300 pixels, that's under the limit. I think it's 686 that you need to achieve a 40 frames per second rate on the Falcon F16. And I should be able to take care of it with one injection point. So I'm going to put the injection point 150 pixels in. So it goes this 150 that way, 150 that way, which at 30% brightness should be more than fine. Now, no, I'm not planning on providing power from the controller. So from the Falcon controller, I'm just going to have data. Now, I also connect ground just because I like to have the ground reference so that the colors are consistent. Although I doubt anybody will really be able to see the difference. So that's the flake. This here is the wiring diagram for the flake. So this is kind of like the connect the dots, choose your adventure. And it's a little complicated because you're leapfrogging up and down the flake, so you do have to pay attention so the model comes out right. Then for mounting, I'm going to use these universal post mounts that are sold by Inspire Light Shows. And in the top here of the, what do you call it? The shaft, I guess. You stick in a hex nut, then you run in a screw from below and tighten it up, and it holds it on there nice. And then you run EMT through this. And here I listed out the various parts I'm going to have to use. And I've used this for some smaller flakes, but I think for this one with 300 pixels, I don't think it's going to be that heavy that this will be a problem. Okay, so given we have that, let's get X lights going. So now we have X lights. And since this is a new prop, I want to play with this one in a project directory. I don't want to mess up my layout just yet. So I like to do the individual snowflakes. When I have a new prop I haven't used before, I like to set up a project directory. So I go to the controllers tab, I click on change temporary, and then I go find that directory. So this is my projects directory. And here I have EF or EFLake36, and I'm going to say this is the directory I want to work out of. Okay, now I'm going to add a controller. All right, we just call it tab description. The vendor is Falcon, and the model is F16 V4. I've ordered a V5, my very first V5. It's back ordered, but David says it should ship in about a month. That'll be exciting. IP address is 10.0.0.9. And I think that's it. Save. Okay. Whoops. Whoops. Delete this one. Okay. So now I go to layout right here, and I am going to download. So it's just off the side of the screen here. Let me see if I can pull this in, make it fit. There we go. Click on create new download. I draw a box, and now it gives me a choice. So it's not Boscoyo, it's not Gilbert Engineering, it's EFL Designs, and it is a snowflake. And here's the 36-inch EFLake. And that looks like my model. So I insert it, and voila, here it is. So now I'm going to go to, I'm going to save the layout, go back to controllers, click on the controller I added, click on visualize, resize it, and then I'm going to drag it down to port 2. Port 2 is what I have set up to handle this. So I just drag it over, drop it right there. Now I'm going to right click. I'm going to set the brightness to 30%. Like that. And I actually have the controller turned on. So let's see. How do I get out of here? I guess I just close it. Save. Okay, click on the controller, and now I'm going to click on Upload Output. Open. Bring it back here where we can see. And I go to Output Settings, Pixel. See, here it is. Output 2. Okay. Just wanted to make sure it was okay. Okay, so now I got my project directory set up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run me a test pattern. If I can do it on such a small screen. Okay. Animation. I could just do this right off the controller too, but since I'm here, what I'm going to do is all white. Okay. Click on Output the lights. And it turned on. I'm not sure what it's complaining about. I think it's a bug in EFLake36. And my lights are on. Okay, so switch over there. Okay, so here is the very uninteresting test. Anytime I have a new prop, I like to test it out to make sure that the power injection and all of that is going to work. So here at the beginning, this is my data, and it goes back to my Falcon F16 V4 controller. And on this port, I do not have V plus connected. I have data and V minus, but not V plus. All of the power for this flake is coming in right here, which goes back to that power box, which has a 12 volt power supply in it. Okay. So since this is 300 lights, very simply, I put the power injection point right in the middle. Okay. In the T, I did pull the data pin from this connector here. Otherwise, that can create noise, which gives you flicker. So I have a 20-foot cable leading up to here. I have a 10-foot cable. Actually, this is a 20-foot cable leading up to the power injection spot. So this is my worst case scenario. These are the longest runs I would have to do. And the white is holding up fine. Of course, the other thing I look at before I start pushing pixels, do I have anything bad, right? If it's white, if I'm running all white and something's bad, then I'm going to get a color that I don't want. So I'm just looking to see if I have any bad pixels. And I don't. So that looks pretty good. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to come over to here. Okay, probably can't see that, but I'm going to test, select, and let it cycle a little bit. See, it's going red, green, blue, white, red, green, blue, white. Red ramp, green ramp, blue ramp, white ramp. White's the one I want because I'm looking for flicker. Okay. And you're more likely to see a flicker on the ramp. But it looks strong, and it should be strong. Right? 150 pixels at 30% brightness, that won't be a problem at all. And I talked about using the universal mounts. So here's one of those universal mounts from Inspire Light Shows. It's 3D printed. And at the top of the shaft here, you put in a screw or a hex nut. And then from the bottom, you run a screw in that sits on the other side of the snowflake, goes through the snowflake, through this hole, into the nut, and then you tighten it up on that nut. Actually, you tighten it up on the bolt, and that screws into the nut, tighten itself, and it's fine. Then you run EMT through the hole. This hole on top is where you drill in the self-tapping screw. So I'm looking to use it so it's a mount point so I can hang the snowflake. 300 lights, I'm not thinking it should be that heavy. So The ones you start getting to 450, and especially the showstopper with, what is it, 750? Yeah, that needs a little bit more planning, but this should be okay.